نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين أما بعد. So inshallah ta'ala we'll be continuing discussing the hadith that we started last week, and we started a new hadith in this series that is referred to as Al-Arba'in An-Nawawiyya. So we had started discussing the hadith of Ibn Abbas ta'ala anhuma. That's the case, huh? So we discussed concerning takhrij of the hadith, and also went into a discussion regarding with the author rahimahullah ta'ala, and now rahimahullah ta'ala he mentioned hadithun hasan, that we discussed concerning what is said to be hadithul hasan, with that discussion and certain masahil that relates to hadithul hasan, and also takhrij of the hadith in general regarding the hadith that there's the hadith, the asl of the hadith is in Bukhari and Muslim, but also the hadith of different shawahid. So based upon this the ulama all the hadith to be hasan, and also of the aqwal of the ulama pertaining to the hadith as to the benefit or the makanata, the position of this hadith, how it is held between the ulama. Then we discussed concerning, so I think we had stopped there. Anything else we had mentioned? But overall we continue regarding that first that they discussed concerning the hadith, where the hadith is mentioned regarding concerning law لو يعطي الناس بدعواهم لإدها الرجال أموال قوم ودماءهم ولكن البينة على مدعي واليمين على من أنكر. So I mentioned this particular hadith concerning this hadith is to mainly used by those concerning matters that relate to al-qada. So regarding this hadith is to give us some guidelines regarding when difference occur between the people. So what's the protocol or the approach that one should use in trying to resolve the matter and finding out concerning who's in the right and who may not be. So what they discussed concerning this hadith, that it mentioned that the shahid of the hadith, that it mentioned that as he mentioned in the hadith, it mentioned لكن البينة على مدعي, that the person who is making the claim, for them to bring forth the evidence, and the person who's rejecting, denying, is for them also to make al-yamin. So that's concerning the shahid of the hadith. So they mentioned that as for the mufradat concerning that people that is mentioned al-bayyina ala mudda'i, that as we mentioned concerning what is al-bayyina. So discussing concerning of those words concerning al-bayyina. So the hadith is mentioned regarding that people, if there's no rules in place, that people make claims of things from others. Some of those claims may be justifiable and some of those claims may not be. But people making claims from other, so Islam now come in to put certain things in place regarding to make a claim. Then you have to bring you have to bring the evidence for what you're claiming, or the person who is being made against, for them to make al-yamin. So regarding the mention al-bayyina, so discuss concerning what is deemed to be al-bayyina. And as we mentioned that concerning these type of claims that are made, that a lot of claims or differences that occur between people that relates to things regarding, as I mentioned, amwal al-qawm, amwal al-nas, that people may claim regarding people's wealth and property. Also at times that claims that are made against others regarding dima, regarding spilling of blood. So people spilling of other people's blood. So also you have claims in that area. So and also you have claims also is made regarding things regarding arad al-nas, regarding concerning people, attacking people regarding that their dignity or the person's honor. So the Sharia come in place regarding that if these claims are made, then how the judge and the arbitrator, that how they should proceed and deal with such cases. So first thing, al-bayyina. So the ulama discussed concerning what is said to be al-bayyina. So al-bayyina means concerning al-bayyina al-wadih. So al-bayyina linguistically means something which is wadih, something which is clear. But in this particular context, that means concern that the ulama mentioned that what is meant by al-bayyina in this context is regarding the person bring a shahid. So the person in this case concerning what is intended by al-bayyina, that a person brings a shahid. So the person brings some form of evidence regarding the thing that he is claiming. So, and that could be, and there are different ways. So either person bring a shahid, so bring some form of evidence to make your claim, to support your claim. And as we'll discuss, so that bayyina is the person bringing either dalil, evidence for what they are claiming. So this is what is required. And as we'll discuss the type of evidence that one can use, it may vary. So you have various type of evidence that would be considered to be legitimate. So al-bayyina, as they mentioned, that in this case, that the person that he brings some form of clarity regarding what he's stating by way of evidence regarding the things that he's seeking from others, what he's seeking from others, or what he's claiming to be his rights. So that bayyina, either to support that this thing is mine, or you're claiming something against another person. Then I mentioned, of that he mentioned, wal yameen, ala man ankar, that yameen, as they discussed, and said al-halif, wal-qasam. So al-yameen, meaning al-halif, the person take an oath or to swear, and I will discuss concerning that particular, what different masail that relates to this. So over regarding the person that who is denying this matter, then it's for him to either take an oath that what is being leveled again, or what I'm being charged with or being accused of is not correct, and he take an oath on this. Then that's concerning what is required from the person that is the accusation is being made against them. So that's concerning what the hadith means. So the hadith is the person making a claim is for you to bring evidence regarding your claim, and we'll mention the type of evidence that can be used, and also second, that the person who's being the charge, the claim is being made against, for them also in that case for them to make al-yamin, which is either al-halif or al-qasam. So the person either taking an oath, or the person is swear by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala regarding in freeing himself from what is being accused of or what is being claimed against him. So that's concerning that matter that they mention. So as for al-bayyina that they mention in making of this claim, that you have al-bayyina, they mention anwa. So you have al-bayyina, but of the point they mention here regarding concerning that in the hadith al-bayyina ala mudda'i. So they mention, so is the person genital, as they mention that al-bayyina ism لكل ما يبين الحق. So al-bayyina is a word that is used for anything that can bring about clarity of what you're claiming. That is, can be used as evidence regarding what you're claiming, or yadhar, to make clear what you're claiming. That's al-bayyina. And also to clarify the person's claim. So as for what can be used, anwa al-bayyina, they mention one of those things that can be used as a bayyina, as a proof and evidence. And before they mentioned that in the Quran. So what the Prophet meant by this concern, that is for the person who's making that claim to bring bayan, to bring some form of things to make clear what he's claiming, to prove that that thing is his, that is haqq. So bring your evidence to be used as a proof that you are what you're claiming is yours, and the ruling should go in your favor. So as for, they mention also in the Quran, that in the Quran when the word al-bayyina is used, it means al-hujjah or dalil or Quran. So in the Quran when the word al-bayyina is used in the context of thing which is hujjah, dalil or Quran. So things of evidence and proof. Of the evidence or bayyina that can be used, one, ash-shahada. So the person who brings a witness. So that witness that is bring, so the person who can bring witness, so either shahada concerning, you bring individuals as your witness. Now you bring individual as your witness. So that's one form of bayyina that can be used. So the person, he doesn't have anything which said is written, documented, but he has two person, or he has others that were witness to the situation and can be used as that form of evidence. So a shahada can be used as a form of evidence. That so bringing those people, those individuals, as is proof. There's a discussion regarding the mention that the shahada that ideal a person have can use either two person as a shahada, two persons to be trustworthy. And each of those evidences may vary. It may be a matter we need that the person bring individual who can be a witness that they saw or heard that thing. And most of the day, they saw that act. And the type of shahada that is required in the Sharia, at times may require two individuals as a witness, or at times 4. So cases regarding as witness, you need 2 witnesses, such as when?
Marriage.
A marriage. Anything else? A dain. So those things require 2 witnesses. Then you have cases where it may require as witnesses 4 witnesses, such as when? Marriage.
Zina.
In case of zina. So that type of, so in some cases 2 witnesses, and in cases 4, depending on the situation. So the general thing regarding concerning that having witnesses, and also you might find that having witnesses also in certain business transaction, that having witnesses. So depending on the situation, having witnesses as it is needed, as required. Then a discussion between the ulama that they have, if a person can bring, he doesn't have 2 witnesses. He has 1 witness, but he himself will be his second witness, but he has to make a halif. So he doesn't have 2 witnesses. He only have 1 person to act as a witness. And also he's going to use himself now, but himself in this case, to be the number 2 witness by him taking an oath. Is that allowed? So they mentioned that is allowed. That a person may have 1 witness and he'll use himself, but he has to take an oath. He has to take an oath. So that person with his own oath and another person, then that count as 2 witness. So on this matter, there is a khilaf between ulama. There is a hadith of Ibn Abbas radhiyallahu and Rasul alayhi salam qada bil yamin wa shahid. And the hadith in the Muslim, where the Prophet alayhi salam, the hadith of Ibn Abbas, that the Prophet salam, that he gave judgment based upon the person yamin, a person taking an oath, and also having 1 witness. So in that case, it is the ulama, jumhur of the ulama, take the position that is allowed to have the person taking an oath, but then also because they only have 1 witness. But you find that others, and Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala mentioned in Sahih Muslim, fihi jawaz al-qada, that it shows that it's permissible for a person to pass a judgment, a ruling, bishahid wal yamin, for having 1 witness, and also that a person take an oath, and you taking an oath. So you have 1 witness, but you also taking an oath. So he said, no, this hadith shows the permissibility of this. With this being said, that you find that some of the ulama, they say no. You cannot per se, you need 2 witnesses, not 1 and yamin. It doesn't count. It does not count in any of the ahkam of Islam. And there's a few taken by the likes of Abu Hanifa, Hakam, Awzahi, Walayth, and others. That you have to have 2 witnesses, not yamin and 1 witness. That doesn't stand. That's not valid. So you have that discussion regarding the ulama, regarding in the case of mentioned shahada, that 2 witnesses, then other things that serve as shahada, such as things being documented today. So the person have a contract, that is a written contract or a piece of paper, then those things, they serve as a form of evidence. Especially in our time, and even from before, that certain things are recorded, written, and also people sign to it. So those things, and dated and the likes. So those things also can serve as a evidence. That those things can serve as an evidence or a form of proof. The next type of evidence they mention, qara'in. So of other type of evidence, the second group of evidence, qara'in, where is supporting evidence, not something which is direct, but something to support that claim. There's a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ regarding a person that the judge, he may rule based upon, not that there's tangible evidence, but based upon, they says, the circumstance, he may judge in favor of one over another, based upon the circumstance. So we mentioned the hadith regarding circumstance that may make the judge more inclined towards one over another. They mention a hadith in the Bukhari and Muslim من حديث أبي هريرة عنه قال أنه سمع رسول عليه السلام يقول that the Prophet عليه السلام heard him said كانت امرأتان معهما ابنهما, that there was two women who had two babies. جاء الذئب, so a wolf came فذهب بابنه أحدهما, and he took one of the babies of one of the women. فقالت, so each then started to claim that this is my child. Each started to claim that this is my child. So two babies, two mothers. The wolf came and took one of the babies, eat the baby, kill the baby. So only one baby remained. But each of the mothers claiming that that child that remained is still alive is theirs. فقالت, so what they did, they mentioned فتحاكما إلى Dawood. So they both went to Dawood alayhi salam. Nabi Allah, Dawood alayhi salam. To be the one to judge between them. فقضى به للكبرى. So one of the mothers were more older than the other. One older than the other. One more older in age and the other one younger. So he ruled in favor of the older woman. Then فخرجتها. So when they both left, so Dawood alayhi salam ruled that in favor of the older woman. And I mentioned from that it shows that regarding concern Dawood alayhi salam regarding al-qadha, it is based upon the ijtihad of the hakim. Is the ijtihad. So in matters where you find a person judging between others, he has certain things that he look at as evidence and different thing, but at the end it still is ijtihad. So his ijtihad should be based upon evidence if it is solid, but at times he may judge based upon, I would say, the circumstance and factors. So what he judged is not precisely what he judged is that, so that goes back to his judgment, not the Sharia. The Sharia puts system in place, but the final judgment go back to the Qadi. Where he could be right and could be wrong. So at the end, he may see evidence and it could be false evidence, but very good. But at the end, he ruled upon, we said, the situation that is put in front of him. So overall concerning Dawood alayhi salam, that qada bihi lil kubra, he ruled in favor of the older woman. Some of the ulama mentioned فخرجتها على سليمان ibn Dawood. So when they both left, Dawood, who ruled between them, that both of them then they met up with Suleiman, the son of Dawood. Then they informed him of the situation. فقال, then Suleiman, after hearing the case of both of them, so they mentioned that his father ruled for whom? The older one. They mentioned that Dawood ruled for the older one, that perhaps he saw that both of the women, one Shaba, young lady, and the other older, that the younger one, the older one, he ruled in her favor, perhaps that she's unable to have birth to have children later on because she's older. So maybe more difficult for her to have children in the future because she's older. And the younger one, because she's still young, Shaba, young woman, that she still can have children. So perhaps of those things that he considered. But overall that is ijtihad from what he gained from the situation. So they went to Sulaiman alayhi salam and فقال ائتوني بالسكين, bring me a knife. So he has mentioned, bring me a knife. Then I mentioned فأشقه بينهما, let me split the child in half and give you one piece and him and her another piece. So I'm going to cut the child in two halves, one for one half for one, and the other half for the other. So both get something. فقالت الصغرى, so when he mentioned this, then the younger one, then she says, لا تفعل, don't do this. رحمك الله, may Allah have mercy upon you, huwa ibnaha, that the child is hers. For the other one, for the bigger one, so the younger one spoke up. don't do this, rather give her the child. Let the child be with her. Nam, then Dawood then Dawood faqada bihi li sugra. Then Suleiman, that he ruled in favor of the younger one. Nam, so they mentioned that why? Came says, that the younger one, that she kind of somewhat, that the older one was in favor. She was silent on the child being cut in half. But the younger one, because of we said that the love of the love that she carried, she didn't want the child to be, and she sees it, it's better for the child to be with one of us than to us having a dead child. But it's in, you understand? So the child being cut in half, then the child's gonna die. And no one will win. So it's better one of us win and have that to the full child than the child being split in two. And no one wins in the long run. Now, so she showed that her type of mercy, rahmah, you understand, and also our hikmah, or wisdom, that she wanted to preserve the life of that child. And if it means the child go to the other one, it's better than the child being split in two, and that means the child's dead. So from that, he showed that her concern, it draw the attention of Suleiman. So he showed that from how she reacted, her reaction and response, so that show that she was the one that more deserving the child. So he gave her the child. Now, so he ruled in favor of the child. Go to her. So said at the end that's an ijtihad from both those qadi in this matter, Dawood and Suleiman. And both judged based upon, they said, the situation at hand. The situation. So there's no clear evidence that they had. So he ruled based upon, in both case, also he can somewhat try to test them. So sometimes I find that Qadi, he might, in the sessions that he have with the people involved, that he might see how people behave, how they react, how they respond. You can tell that this one is lying. Even though there's no, you understand, you can tell that something is off. Not this person is lying, but something is off with this one. Something is off compared to the other one. Because sometimes I find a case where a person that they're very forthright in what needs to be said. And they seem to be, you ask a question and give you a straight answer. You ask the other one the question and give you a twist, to go up the hill and to go around the mountain. You can tell that, this person is not coming straight. You understand? That something a bit off with them. So my telephone, so different things may be used for the person to see that this one, something a bit off key with someone, and someone seems to be more upfront and forthright in what they're saying. So the judge may consider these things as qara'in, as things to support that they have to take into consideration regarding the case. So you might have in today's time, you might have certain, so these things are taken. Now, so you might find that even the ulama discuss, like in today's time, that cases regarding these new things, for example, in children, like in the case here, there was no, what do you call these tests? DNA tests, paternal tests. There was no, those things didn't exist then. But in our time, that those things could be of qara'in. Things that can somewhat support the view of one side, because yes, is that if the DNA kind of matches what yes, there's something. There's a bond between both, because the DNA, they match. So not all the time, because the child, you understand, is the color of the child. You might find that, especially amongst that people of darker color, they can have children of lighter colors. Next, so different things that are factoring, different things that are factoring. So general sense, so those are of a qara'in. Those are things that can be used as qara'in that the judge will use according to. So it's a different thing that he would use as a way to kind of somewhat to get a clear understanding of what the situation is. Or it could be a case concerning ittiraf, where the person everyone admit the reality. That especially when the first at times the other side might just acknowledge and the situation. So ittiraf, just confirming, yes, that's the case. So admittance, then this also used as an evidence. This can be used as a bayyinah. So those are things that are used regarding as bayyina that are mentioned. And also then just concerning al-bayyina, what are some of the things that can be used as evidence. If they mention that if the person who makes the claim and he brings evidence, he has his proof, he brings his witness, he has his paperwork, as they say, everything is in place, that there's no need for the other side to make al-yamin. So two persons disputing, side A is making the claim, party B, the one who's accused, that side A making the claim that this is my thing, and he has the evidence for it. So bring all the paperwork, or he has his evidence that is clear. Then the other side, even if they deny, it doesn't make a difference. The fact that the person who's making the claim can bring his evidence, then that stands, and the ruling goes in his favor. Even if the other person denies and even make an oath, it doesn't count anymore. Clear? So and nothing. So the both side might be bringing their evidence. The fact that the person making the claim of his evidence and it is clear, then that stands. That it stands.
So as soon as we arrive at the bayna,
If the bayna is produced, then khalas, then that goes. That goes. That goes. So even the other side is denying or they're making their halif, it doesn't count anymore because the bayna has now been established. So we use all the usual cases that so in today's time that we live, especially in the time that we're living in today, where people are not as they were before, that many things are claimed. So a lot of things that we do is good to have them recorded. So even though some of those things may be mustahab, that they are recorded, at times it's said ihtiyatan, but we have the safe way of things recorded. So of those things in today's time that marriages have things recorded. Especially what is the mahar, especially regarding the mahar, have it recorded. Or the witnesses are clear as to what the mahar is. So the mahar, make sure it is clear, and even better yet, that it is recorded on what we call a marriage certificate or a piece of paper. But all the details are there. Date of the marriage, name and date of the marriage, name of groom, even date of birth. Because in today's time, it's not just name, it's also your date of birth, isn't it? They like go together. So name and date of birth. Nationality is not that of, you understand? But if it is there, labas. But also important, the mahar, then everyone sign. Bride, groom, witness and the wali. And know the wali's name. That everyone, all those main people, that is on the document. Wali. So you have bride, groom, witness 1, witness 2. Also, what we said, the mahar, the wali, and the person, they said not the imam who is doing it, if you know, all those names are there and everyone signed beside it. So everything is kind of somewhat is upfront. Because now said no, name and date of birth today, important, that there's a case that is going on that an imam, because in this country, to marry a woman, she has to be 16 and up. Or if she's 16, 16 down, she needs her parental permission. If she's 16, 15, get married without her parent, then that's considered to be illegal. They shouldn't get, you understand? So I think one imam supposed to have done a marriage, and this is a case in court, that she was 16. And because of what's going on globally, you know what's going on globally with the Muslim for years now, that it was picked up by the authorities. So they see it as you're marrying people according to them, according to the system, that they are underage. Because 16, that age of consent for marriage is 18. That is 18 or above 16.
I think it's 18.
Maybe 18 or...
The age of intercourse, consent to intercourse is 16.
Hey,
Hey,
hey, so you have different type, but 16 such getting married, they need consent. Consent there, and the system, if a girl was to go into the hospital and she's 15 and she's pregnant, then authorities have to be informed. You understand? Because the seat has underage. You understand? So it may mean that authorities are involved to see, you understand, who got her pregnant. So those are things we said, no, go back to the system, and these things, we need to double check these things. You understand? But it's good to know of these things. But he was pulled up, that Imam, for doing of this type of marriage. So you might find that, that maybe they see it as you're breaking the law, and by this you may be, you understand, have to be, you might have to go to court to be decided upon. But overall, it shows that, it's a certain thing to verify. You understand? Certain thing to verify that, everything is across board. Now, across the board type of thing. But overall, it says, having things recorded, certain type of business contracts, I said, things to be recorded. Or have witnesses. Now, that, as I said, yes, in Islam, just having an agreement between individuals, that's good enough at times. But we live in a world where, even you understand, people sometimes they can, things are changed. People change due to whatever factors. So to have things recorded is important in today's time. Regarding, giving loans, let's say said, of a certain amount. You understand? Is the amount, says, a decent amount, then have it recorded. You understand? Could be a good person that but still have it recorded. Now, as sometimes people forget the details. Now, and sometimes people just, as I said, they change. So things being, and other things as you deem to be important. What you deem to be important, then it's good to have things recorded. So I mentioned that this the hadith kind of somewhat is because regarding, as I said, the hadith, law yu'ta, that if people understand everything the people claim, you understand, then they'll claim everything. That you might know people that they're not of that type of, they're people who they'll claim everything they can from others. There's some people that are like that. So based upon this, the Sharia put certain things in place, guidelines regarding people making of claims. So they mentioned regarding concerning that, and also in the case that of those things of qara'in, that if the person then doesn't have any clear proof, he's making that the person have the claimant doesn't have any clear proof, then of the thing that the judge can now ask the person who the claim against, that for you to make an halif. If the person that he refused to do so, that may indicate that, then that could go that go against you, because you're not willing to make that halif or that qasam. The yamin is not willing to make that to swear or to make that oath, then that can be an indicator that that thing that it would be ruled against you. It will be ruled against you, which they call nukul. So they call nukul the person that he refused to testify. So the person who is refusing to testify or to make that oath, then it will be can be used against you. They're mentioning concerning al-yamin, that as we mentioned, al-yamin. So in the books of the fuqaha, that they will discuss concerning this discussion as a bab by themselves, concerning iman wal qasama, that they discuss in the books of the fuqaha. That so they mention that this at times can be used, this yamin can be used as an evidence, can be used as a form of proof, as we just mentioned regarding that the hukum of so al-yamin, either the message yamin al-qasam or al-halif. So yamin, either qasam wal halif. So that qasam, the person will say, either the person can say that the siga, it may vary. Like wallahi, billahi, tallahi, I didn't do this, I didn't take this, or whatever. So the person can use in that way. Or the person can say, ahlif billah, I take an oath by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, aqsum billah, and aqsum billah. Naam, so the person will go by making an oath in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Isn't there another situation where people like say, if such and such and such, then may Allah curse me?
It's a different situation.
It's a different situation.
And it's a land. That's land. So al-halif or yameen, either qasam, or we said halif, that the person take this type of oath. What with oath that they mentioned that al-yameen, that so the person that mentioned that will yameen goes also as their own ahkam, that al-yameen wal qasam wal halif, not to be done except in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, one of the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sifat. So al-halif, to be done in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's sifat. Of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the person could, as I mentioned, he could take qasam bi bit al-Quran, لأن القرآن كلام الله. When sifat min sifatullah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now so the person can take an oath in the name of in the Quran, as the Quran, kalamullah. But for the person to take an oath and yes, and say, put his hand on the mushaf, then that is something said in a muhdith, as Ibn Usaymin mentioned, something that's not a practice, which is a practice now, but is some the person should avoid this. Because the mushaf, it has thing which is not of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, sifat. Clear? With me?
No.
Clear?
Can you elaborate on that?
So regardless of the person, example, in some places, a person that in some places there are some people that they want to take an oath. Nam, that they'll bring the Quran, the Mus'haf, we say Quran, the Mus'haf. And they do it in like in courts, even these courts. So if you go like, in British courts, that they'll bring, if you're a Muslim, plain Muslim, that they'll bring a Mus'haf. Nam, and said, they have something that you have to say. So whatever the word is. But you put your hand on the Quran, or they said for the Christian, their book, but we're talking about us. Nam, so they bring the Mus'haf. They said it's the Mus'haf. Why the Mus'haf? And the Mus'haf is a bit different from the Quran. Quran, Kalamullah. That is from Al-Fatiha to Nas. But with the Mus'haf, you have the beginning, things that are in between or before or after.
The index and glossary.
Index, glossary, the context, page of context, all those things. You understand? That is not Kalamullah. You understand? So you might have an introduction, like da-da-da-da. So all those things that you find sometime before or after. You understand the name of the surah, the surah Tawbah, that's not from Kalamullah. Naam. So when you're making, so that all that is in it is Kalamullah. In the Mus'haf, not everything in it is Kalamullah. So Quran is from Fatiha to Nas. All that is Kalamullah. But with the Mus'haf, yes, in it is Kalamullah and Kalam Ghairullah. In it is the Kalamullah, the Quran, but also other things. You understand? So it's not the thing to be used. Said in the courses, they said that if the person does say ala kalamullah. If you go to the courts and they bring down, you understand, they do concern that I'm taking out the kalamullah, not per se the mushaf. Clear?
No.
Clear? So in UC tense, you're taking the oath upon the Quran, not the mushaf. Because the Mus'haf contain more than other things. That is not from Kalamullah subhanahu wa ta'ala. See how people take oath. Bighayrillah, that's shirk. That's a different discussion. But they mention al-yameen of ahkam. And the ahkam goes into wajib, mustahab, mandub, mubah, makruh, and haram. So taking al-yameen fall into those 5 ahkam al-shar'iyyah. So yameen al-wajib, they mention هي التي ينجي بها المسلم نفسه أو غيره من هلاك. So the person concerned in the case of taking an oath becomes like wajib, or yameen becomes wajib if the person take an oath regarding saving himself or someone from being destroyed, that the person will be destroyed. The person will reach a severe calamity. So the person who, if not taking that oath, it could lead to someone being destroyed or their death or your own death. Then that time becomes wajib. Because it leads to halak. It leads to destruction. Clear? And that destruction is something which is, it will occur. Something which is, said no, will occur. The second, Yameen al-Mandub, or Mustahab. Yameen, Mandub, or Mustahab. That I mentioned that, أن يحلف الذي تتعلق به, that تتعلق بالمصلحة. So in the case of Mandub, taking an oath, in the case that it is something regarding, that is something which is, it will bring about maslaha, a benefit. Some form of benefit would be gained from this. And that benefit could be Islah bayna mutakhasimain, that it could be a case where you find that people are disputing, so making that with a dispute between others, so you taking that, it will be a maslaha. So in that case become mustahab, not wajib, mustahab. Or dafa shar, or kind of somewhat trying to repel some form of evil, or stop some form of evil. Then in that case it is mustahab. So in that case you can choose to do so min bab al-istihbab, where there's a maslaha, a benefit that will come from it, or I mention izalat shar, or removing of some type of shar on that matter, then can be done. The third, in case of that example, the third, which is said to be mubah, al-yamin mubaha jaiza, where it is said to be something which is allowed. It is allowed. That concerning thing which is fil mubah, which is anything that is said to be something which is mubah, that it could be the person, like, taken out as information that you deem to be correct. You understand? This information I'm giving you, you want kind of somewhat, to emphasize, since then the emphasis that the information is correct, he says, wallahi, are of that nature. But overall regarding concern, it's not those who kind of somewhat that they take these oaths in everything. Wallahi, wallahi, in everything. I eat this morning, wallahi, I have my breakfast, and it was 6 o'clock. You don't need to, you understand? So doing it regularly without, you understand, then that is disliked. But you find a certain custom, everything they take an oath. Wallahi, everything they take an oath among some people. Clear?
No,
Yeah.
Or they tell you to say wallahi.
Or they tell you to say wallahi in everything. You understand? So either them in everything, wallahi, 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 wallahi. Or they're asking you, say wallahi for everything. Then that says no need. You understand? That, doing it excessively in everything, then also that is something which is disliked. Something which is disliked. But said it not becomes like a custom among some people. Become a habit amongst some. But then in the case where it is needed, you understand, amount of information you think is important for people to take that information, so you might do it because of the situation, but it's mubah. To put some emphasis, and al-qasam kind of someone said, min bab al-ta'qeed. There's something to put emphasis on something. Or they mention a case of makruh. Now it becomes makruh, which is concerned is taken out on something which is itself disliked. Or even away something which is mustahab. And also that's being excessive in taking an oath. Being excessive in taking of oath in everything. That they may be correct, but they're just excessive. They may be correct, but they're excessive. Then in that case, to avoid it. Then also the fifth case I mentioned, al-muharram, al-yamin al-muharram. That regarding concern, it says halif al-kadhiba. So it's said to be halif al-kadhib, where a person that you're taking an oath in something which is haram. The person lying about taking an oath. The person lying but taking an oath. Then in that case we want people to believe him, accept him, to take his word. Then in that case become haram. Even the thing that is ruled for you, then you're doing something with haram, and you're not just. You should not take of that thing. You should not take. So you're not justified in taking the thing because you are presented, or your halif is something which is you're lying. So that's concerning al-halif wal yamin, that fall into those 5 categories regarding ahkam al-shar'iyyah. So one regarding a person of a dispute between himself and others, then it generally fall into mustahab. But maybe wajib, may elevate to wajib depending on the case and circumstance. But the general ruling, it is mustahab, but may rise to wajib depending on the circumstance. Then regarding concerns, so that's concerning that matter, so that if the judge asks the person, then if the person may deny to say it, then the judge may rule against him. The judge asks the person to take that oath and the person choose not to, deny or refuse to, then that may rule, the judge may rule against him. The judge may rule against him. So said again concern, so that's concerned those matters. So said that ulama mentioned Uqsim billah, the message of the prince, as a way of yamin, Uqsim billah. That some you might find that in some may prefer the person may take the root of that they might say Uqsim billah al-azim, alim al-ghayb wa shahada, al-hayy al-qayyum, alladhi la ilaha illahu. Then you say what needs to be said after. So some might take that route as in some formal way of how to do it. They might ask the person to go that route if he wants to take al-yamin, or to say the yamin, he will say take that formal format in taking of his yamin. So it's mentioned that so that in general regarding concern with those matters, that the qadi, as for the qadi or the person who is arbitrating, that his judgment is considered to be ijtihad based upon evidence provided. So it's based upon the evidence that is provided. By the end of the day, that's a ijtihad. So the qadi, that his judgment should go according to the evidence that is provided, but still a level of ijtihad, where the person that he may rule in favor of one person, but that person is in the wrong. But the person is more eloquent, you understand, in explaining their situation, have some form of evidence that they produce, maybe a bit dodgy or forfeited, but what he produced seems to be in place. But in reality, it is not correct. But the judge, he ruled based upon the evidence, so that's his ijtihad. And the qadi could be wrong, and he could be right in his judgment. So at times he could be incorrect in his judgment, but he should base his judgment based upon the evidence provided. Based upon the evidence provided. Then I mentioned regarding concern as for a qadi. Then after so the qadi is ruled, and so the qadi said that if the qadi said that if he judge based upon the evidence, then nothing against him. That if is that it is discovered that what his judgment is incorrect, then that can be challenged. If the person believes the qadi was incorrect in his judgment, that in most even Islamic court, that a person can make an appeal. The person can make an appeal, but generally the person also take that route. But generally the qadi, that if he's right, he's rewarded twice, and if he's wrong, then he gets one reward. He gets one reward, but it is not against him unless it is seen, and unless the qadi did something wrong. The qadi himself did something wrong, then that's a different matter. So if a person who judges a matter and he's not a qadi or qualified, then he's in the wrong. He's already in the wrong. To take in being a judge in a matter that is not qualified Islamically. Now, so he doesn't know the concern. So that in that case, from the start, he's wrong. He's in the wrong for taking on cases that he's not qualified to judge in. So you might find that the system that we have in Muslim countries, that each country, that they have a judicial system, and they'll have people appointed as judges. And those judges will have some form of qualification. Those judges will have some form of qualification. So they have gone through some form of training to be appointed as that judge. So you might find in most countries, you might find that institution, like they have like institutes or colleges that may train people to be judges or prepare them to be judges. But you might find a person who made, so most of the judges will come through that system, would have gone through that institution, but you might find a person who's a judge that didn't go through that system. But he's recommended by other people who are qualified. That this person is have this qualification, not per se, but the institutional type of qualification, but he has the Islamic qualification where he's qualified to serve as a judge. And you have people who are like that they're judges, but not per se. They have that the academic qualifications, but they have the Islamic qualification. They study in the masajid and between mashaykh, and somebody, their teacher may be judges, that may recommend this person be a judge. Recommend a person that he can stand as a judge because he has the Islamic qualification. Hey, that's okay. Hey. So you might find some country might have a, hey, so that answer that stands. So from the matter they discuss concerning Sharia, it proves concerning that, you know, that if the Qadi also he was corrupt in his judgment, biased in his judgment, or he corrupt and rule in favor, then that's a kaba'ir. From his side, that's a major sin. That's a major sin for a judge to be corrupt. Then that's a major sin. There is a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ mentioned al-qudat thalatha. That is a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ that al-qudat thalatha, the judges of three types. Ithnan fi nar, two of which is in the nar, wa wahid fil jannah, and one is in Jannah. So they mentioned that al-qudat thalatha. So they mentioned that the judges in general, they fall into three categories. They mention ithnan fi nar, two of whom are in the hellfire. So it shows that it's a major sin. That for it to be in the nar indicate that it's something of a major sin. Then I mention wal wahida fil jannah, and that one is in al-jannah. So they mention that rajul alim al-haq, the one who knows the haq, wa qada bihi, that the one who knows the truth and he judges by it. فهو في الجنة, he is in al-jannah. ورجل قضى للناس على جهل, and the second, that a person that he judge between the people على جهل, but he is of a person of ignorance. He's the one of ignorance. فهو في النار, he is in the hellfire. ورجل عرف الحق, the one who knows the truth. وجار في الحكم, but he is unjust, unfair in his judgment. But he knows the truth, but he goes against it. He knows what is right and wrong, but he goes against that which is just. فهو في النار, then he's also in the النار. So it shows that hadith that in the Abu Dawud Ibn Majah, there's some Shaykh Albani or the hadith to be sahih. But so Shaykh Albani, from what I can recall, there's some kalam about the hadith, I think. But Shaykh Albani or the hadith to be daif. But the hadith kind of somewhat shows that Qadi, that if he's unjust, if he's unqualified and he's unjust, then he's of the people of the nar. They mentioned regarding concern the procedure regarding al-qadi or in judges and an arbitrator. So even concerned that in a Muslim country we may have arbitrators that the people going to judge in certain matters should be people of Islamic knowledge, that they are known to have a track record of Islamic knowledge. So the person have gone through a process where they have studied, and most of the time they have studied concerning Bab regarding Al-Qadha, that they have gone through matters relating to Qadha, those Bab or those chapters that they have studied those matters. Nam, and not just reading on his own. So a person might say, now Talib al-Ilm, but I've read this Bab on my own. Bab of Qadha, Bab regarding Islamic law, and these matters on my own, not said on their Shaykh. With me? Yeah. In that case, that person, be careful. And those matters, be careful. Nam. So in certain things, the person should have gone through a Shaykh. As a general rule regarding, for the person to understand all matters concerning Islamic jurisprudence, Islamic law or Sharia, the person have gone through concerning things of ibadat and also mu'amalat in different categories that they have studied on their Shaykh. If the person have studied these things on their own, then be careful. Now, then be careful. Because they haven't gone through a Shaykh. And studying on your own, then then you're prone for error. You're prone to make errors. There's a kalam with ulama that they mention, try to mention the statement. Man kana shaykhuhu kitab, that the one who shaykh is the kitab, khatahu akthar, then his errors are more. He's more prone to make errors. So the man kana shaykhuhu al-kitab, kitab, that the shaykh, the person who is teacher is the book, then is more prone to make errors. Nam, so said that the shaykh is there concerning especially the person who for a person, the initial stage of a talib, he needs a shaykh. So his initial journey in studying, he needs a shaykh. So it's at stage 1, beginner stage, and stage 2 would be what? Intermediary, he needs a shaykh. Until reach advanced, then he's more on his own. But the initial stage of beginner stage, and we said the second one is intermediary, he needs a shaykh. So his reliance is more upon the shaykh to guide him. Understand the aqwal of the ulama and different matters. Nam, that he needs a shaykh. He needs a shaykh. Nam, so in the initial stages, he needs a shaykh to guide him and less the books. So the shaykh will take him through the books, not for him to go through the books on his own. Nam, because there's things to understand and put in context, and the shaykh will guide him through those things. And also in the book, it may be have the author with good intention might make an error, might pass a judgment on which is the correct position, maybe opposite to what is being mentioned. Nam, so for you to know those things, you need a person who have gone through these things and have the experience and have that knowledge that can guide you through. Nam, even what is more, even said that even today, Allahu Alam, my opinion, that's my opinion, that a person who has studied or have finished from a university, Jamiat Islamiyah, in any university, Islamic university, and just come out, as I say, fresh or recently graduate, he should go under someone when he comes back. So the person studied in a university, whatever amount of years, and so the one that have studied and they have come, but they studied 5 years, they come back to their community, then it's best that he works with someone who is more, as a mentor. So someone to be his mentor.
How long?
Huh?
How long?
Sometimes with mentorship, you understand, sometimes I'm not going to put it, that somebody under mentorship, then that person will be the one to decide that when you're ready, at times. So I said 1 year, 2 year, you understand, because some people may require more time. And some people that they are quick. And that environment may be a bit different. Your experience, you can build experience quick in that environment. You understand, it might be in the sticks, you understand, out there where there's no one. But more so the person, in the inner city, bigger cities, You understand? That is better the person who have graduated recent graduate, fresh out of university, so Islamic university, have a degree, or come back from overseas and have done their time. Alhamdulillah, that's good. But it's better, and if they themselves can try to find someone that can mentor them through you understand, what they may face.
Is that because they've been out of the country for like maybe 4, 5, 6 years?
A, because of one, they're absent to the country, and also they have no experience, lack of experience. So everything they have is just theories. Yes, and everything is just in their mind and in the books. And he said, no, is now to take those things out the books in practicality. You understand? So, like, that's off the record, you understand? That, so for example, so the person in started building, the person like that, so he needs someone to guide him through. You understand? To sit, you understand that the person in university, you understand, they said that the ones that I know of, you understand, like in Medina University, that maybe in College of Dawah, for a person who is studying to be a da'i, he may do a little khitaba, may do a khutbah. Like in the Hadith, when I was there, that each student in the 4th year, you have to do a presentation. You have to do like a khutbah in front of everyone in your class. Talk about whatever, but you give a khutbah in front of your class. You understand? Which is you understand? Not just one, you need several of those in reality. You understand? You need several of those. But they will do this practice, but I would believe in Khulati Dawah they may do it even, I would expect, but they may do it more, I would expect, hope. But overall, that regard, for example, that conducting a nikah, you do the things like in the book, but there's no practicality concerning that. You sit in front of the people, how do I conduct a marriage? What do I say? What do I do? There's no manual. And you understand, there's no one to guide you through. You with me? So you might know what to be done, but you have never seen it done. Considering in university, there's no practicality. There's no practical. You've never seen a person conduct a nikah. So how do I do it? But you know the theory, the ideas, but you don't have the practicality. Now, so you might find that, you know, that a case that experience is that a person who have studied overseas come back and perform nikah because of lack of experience, it need to be redone. Need to be redone. And you have case of the person I've studied with something that you have the person who has studied in a university and I've gone through their full program. So as I said, that anyone in a Islamic university that have gone through the full program, he still have things that are missing. The link is not full. And even when you finish, you still need some other things. But the person who did not finish, then there's a lot of missing links. You with me? So the person that went to the University of Medina or Riyadh or here or there, and he did only 2 years. And you have cases where the person was expelled. So you find a person that he was expelled because then the community asks, why were you expelled? You with me? They don't know what. You may have done something, you may tawbah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but he come back and he said, no, I did 2 years, 1 year, but I was expelled. Why were you expelled? Because a person may be expelled that, he wasn't able to pass his exams, or he was missing class regular, for example. The person may miss his exams, but writing, you know, that type of practice, you know, he's not good at that type of thing, but he's a sharp student. Sit with the Mashaykh, taking his notes, but going to exam, that's not his thing. You with me? Yeah. So that doesn't disqualify him completely. Some people are not that type of academic to go into to do exam, but they are sharp students. You know, they can still, you know, they can memorize things, take their own notes, still understand things. You know, when, you know, if for them to explain, they can do those things. But going into an exam room, that's not their thing. You with me? So that's not all time. But they might find a student said, okay, why expelled? Because my conduct and behavior. Then that's something you have to Ask them why. Because conduct and behavior then becomes, it shows something regarding maybe your attitude. You with me? Rebellious. Always, arguing with his teacher. Cussing out his teacher. Get heated, he would swear at his teacher. They don't want that person. You with me? Yeah. So the conduct, yes, what's the reason type of thing. Talib, in his next student have a dispute and he start to fight him, from the west. You understand? We kind of somewhat, so when physical with student, then that's a problem. Because you say when you come back, you want to disagree with someone, then you want to fight the person. That's not how you resolve things. You with me? So that student, then you might have said it's important to know that the person that if he didn't complete this for whatever reason that he had to come back, couldn't complete, then that's not a problem. But it means that you have things that are missing. You have things that are missing. And also, the one that says it's important if you can complete the program, then that's good. For example, in other universities that are here in Egypt, in Azhar, that the student doesn't necessarily have to attend lesson in person. So you can somewhat adapt like a Western approach at times. That the person may be doing certain, you have your major topics, your main topics, and you have your minor topics that are not your main topics. Then you said the person can just show up to the exam room and just do the test, and that's enough. If he pass, he pass. But he doesn't have to go to class every day, which is strange. So if you can read a book, understand the passage in the exam, it will be from page and go to the exam room and do the test, then that's enough for them. You with me? So that's a bit strange. But that's the system that they follow. So it means that the student, you understand that he just went through the book, been in class, but he was able somewhat to pass because read the book, understood a few things, went to the exam room and did the exam and pass. So that itself a little bit, that one, big question sign to that one, but it exists. So you have different systems that are there that said, and then your students who finish, the person who then finish the 4-year program, come out with a degree, then said, not to say for, as I said, any community is not for him, no community that, it stops there. That a community, I said, advice to that, community send out those students still back to these Dorat al-Ilmiya, for them to somewhat to sharpen, to sit with the Mashaykh for a week or two in these, what do they call them? Dorat al-Ilmiya. What do they call them in English now?
Conferences?
It's like a program where that's an intense program where you go through books for X amount of days. So you understand, so like a review for that person, and you have to sharpen, you understand, and reinforce what he has learned.
Is it Dawra al-Ilmiya?
Dorat al-Ilmiya. That you have these seminars. Yeah. These seminars that will go for 10 days a week. They might do X amount of books from a book material would be covered. So it's important for the talib to be a part of that. Or to have someone online that you follow regarding a lesson program. So for the talib who finish, it doesn't mean when you finish, it ends there. It doesn't mean it ends there. That's when it actually starts. That's when it actually starts.
Do they teach how to do research?
So that will be a part of the so within the university, then they will teach those things.
As a set topic.
As a topic by itself.
Okay.
You understand?
You know, the UK anyone that does that, but I feel like here we don't. No one really doesn't seem to have common thing.
No, I'm said that so in the university, that and also in books of Talabat al-Ilm, they can somewhat explain some of those things as to how to do research. You understand? So what I know of in Medina University, that in the 3rd year and the 4th year, then you have to do a research paper. So every student will be given, so I think you understand that we're given a topic. So like in Hadith, you're given a topic to go and you will, you understand, then do a thing, and they do something on that. And then you have like a mushrif, a supervisor, that you will guide you through it. Now, so you have class that will explain al-bath. So you have like, lesson that will teach you. Then the practicality will come where, including the hadith, you understand that at a certain point, the third and the fourth year, then each student have to do like a research paper. That you have a time frame, you understand? But you have a time frame, but whenever that, but you have to do a research paper. Now, that will be on your time. So after school, you have the normal school hours, that research paper that you're doing, that you have to go and, you understand, find the information from, and you have a supervisor that will guide you through. So that's the practicality of, so you have the theory and then the practice. Hey, what kind of somewhat?
No, you
When-
talk about the mentor.
So that was a general concern, said a general thing concerned that with even in the judicial system that they have in Muslim, that when the person I've graduated from the institute, for example, that in some countries have a mahad just for judges, for people to prepare them to be judges. Would be like a person that's not doing like their PhD thesis, but is prepare people to be judges on that level. So most of the people are there, they have done, they're doing like their PhD thesis. But that mahad is mainly for people on that level. To be like judges or people in that type of, that level. Now to be people have responsibility over Islamic matters. With me? So when a judge is complete and is appointed, then he will serve, you have someone that it will be someone to mentor him before he's giving, you understand, his type of task. Then you have someone to mentor him for him to learn the skill of the trade. So that generally concerns a person having a mentor, you understand, especially Islamic manage, like before in the past, that a talib would be with the sheikh for years by side, mulazim al-sheikh, and with that you see how the sheikh function. Or we answer question, you understand, the student will help him preparing of his lessons, you understand, but you have that direct type of somewhat close relation with that sheikh, so you see how we function. They call it al-mulazima. So you get to pick up from the sheikh. You get to pick up from the sheikh. So that inshallah ta'ala, so that general concern, the matter regarding concern the qadi, on the matter of dispute, that I mentioned that the format would be that it's ideal that the person if there's khusuma, there's a dispute between both sides, then to have both sides present. Both sides present. Then the judge will ask, or the person who is the mediator, so we can say between mediator and judge, that for a person to ask as to who the person is the mudda'i, the person who's making the claim. Now, or if you already know, then said that the person making the claim, then you start and explain what is the issue at hand. What is it that you are claiming against this person? Now, what's the dispute? Then at the end you ask the person, do you agree with this person's side of what he's mentioned? And then you kind of somewhat starting from there. Then the person who's making the claim, in the books of, you have even the books of amongst the ulama in qada, they have their own adab al-qadi. That would explain all of this. How we're supposed to sit, you understand? How we should look, how we should place the person. You have all the things they go into. You understand that he's not to somewhat, that can somewhat in any way can somewhat seem as if he is biased towards one side. But for him to listen to, so you have their own books of the qadi, how we should function. So that out of the talib it is important to read some of those books to understand how, if you're in that situation, how you should conduct yourself as the person who is the mediator. So you have books of adab of the talib, that's something else. The books of adab al-qadi is regarding if you're in a case or in a situation that you have to mitigate between people, how you should function. So So that's a different, there's a different bab, a different chapter. So at the end, Saint Stanley would ask for evidence and go through a certain at times qara'in, but at the end the card is to see who's in the right, who's deserving what they have claimed, who's in the right and who's in the wrong. That's the end of that's the charge of that. Try to find out who's deserving that deserving what they deserve. Each person deserve getting the right that they're deserving. Each getting the right that they're deserving. Now, so there's adab that the qadi sometimes is not allowed to judge between people that are his relatives. So the adab of the qadi that he cannot judge between people that are certain close family members, because you understand. And also you have adab that the qadi shouldn't judge if he's not himself. He's got up this morning, he has a headache. He shouldn't judge, rule between people, because that can interfere with his judgment. So anything that can interfere with his judgment, then he shouldn't judge the case at that time. He's upset, he's very hungry. And if he doesn't eat, he kind of somewhat is, a bit,
Irate.
yeah, a little bit off. Because, you understand? Huh?
You can't fast if he's...
No, for some, a person can present with a qadi that he can fast, not eat, but said if he knows that this will have an impact on him, he's unsettled. You with me? Then he should not judge at that time. But he said those are the adab of the qadi, to make sure that he can give justice. The main thing is he can give justice. So anything that would interfere with him giving justice and hearing the case for what it is, then he's to not judge that case at that time. And I would say that's concerning those matters relating to this hadith. And especially in this comes that essentially the judge of the qadi is binding. The hukum al-qadi mulzima, that the hukum of the qadi becomes now binding. So whatever conclusion that he comes to, then both sides have to adhere to it. Unless you have strong evidence to say that his judgment was incorrect.
And that's when you make an appeal.
And they make an appeal. Now, but the general thing, so the case here, if you make an appeal, then the case will put on hold until the matter has been rectified. But the general thing is that the qadi, whatever his judgment is, then everyone has to live by it and accept it. Now, so that's concerning the qadi. So his judgment is not like just passing a judgment. It means that when you sit in front of him, whatever decision I make, you have to abide by it. Now,
But I say in the West now, would you say it's important for the people to take the Imam in their community or their Islam figure, what he says, to take it with that sort of Islam and not look at it like there's someone who Muslim giving them advice or something?
repeat.
There's no like official power.
They didn't have no full official authority. Now, in the country.
In the country, yeah.
Aye.
But should the people give when they go and take this dispute to their leader, should they give them that authority?
If you're going to sit in, if they people have a dispute and they decide, both of the disputing party, decide they're going to take it to someone in the community they believe that he's qualified. You understand? So maybe said the person who's qualified. I use the word qualified in the sense of, as we mentioned, that the person may be the Imam, but he's not qualified for these matters. You understand? Memorize the Quran, but these matters is not per se his area. He hasn't gone through a full program of Islamic studies. So I said, if they reach a person, that they decide upon a person who's qualified from the disputing side, and also when they sit, the understanding is that whatever he judge, we should accept it. You understand? Because if not taking it, you're going to mess them up, then what's the purpose of going through that procedure? But because we're in the West, you understand, because we're in the West and there's nothing like, say, use the word that the arbitrator, there's nothing binding that they have to, that they have upon those people. You understand? So, but ideally the people see it as something that if we go there, we'll accept. But I said, people sometimes intention are different. You understand? A person might say, will go to the person to act as an arbitrator, but if the thing is not in my favor, then the qadi, the person, the arbitrator, become my enemy. And you find these cases occur, that if you do not judge in favor of a one particular side, even though that the person, the arbitrator, may see that not that they're in the wrong, or what they're saying they're incorrect, that they see that I'm supposed to be, you're supposed to be on my side. And the fact that you didn't rule in my favor, you become my enemy. And you have those cases. You have those cases. You understand? You have those cases. And that various reasons. But you do have those cases. Now it says that you find that some people go into the majlis or this with the intention that I should come out the winner. There are people, I believe, that they go into those arbitration room with the intention or with a mindset that I must come out as the winner. And if I don't, as they say, you understand, all break loose. In the sense I'm not going to accept. And then both sides, you understand, when they go in the room, that they had a dispute between person that was seen as they're not their enemy, but their, what's the word?
Rival.
Their rival. And the person who the arbitrator now become added to the people that are my rivals, because he didn't judge according to in my favor what I wanted. So you become now, and you find this a lot in the West, as in the West. I can't speak about the West in general. Says no, of what from my experience on these matters, that a lot of the person who take these cases have to be, I said, thick skin. Because a lot of cases, people will, if you don't rule in their favor, then they're going to have a problem with you. A lot of these, that occurs regular. If you do not rule in that person's favor, then that person will have issue with you. That's a regular occurrence. Regular. Now, so, but I said, so it occurs regular. That's all I can say. Now, but you have to have thick skin. In a sense that the person doing said, you do it fi sabilillah. And what other people said, and the thing that, the arbitrator, try to be just. I'm not saying you're perfect. You understand? And I'm not saying the person speaking is perfect. You understand? But try to give justice to the best of your ability. Now, but you may make it, you may be wrong. You understand? But I said, but the general approach of some of the people, if things are not in their favor, then you become their enemy. You become the person that now, you become, yesterday were their good friends, today you're not their friends at all. They don't even give you salam. You have those cases, unless they have to.
Yes.
You have those cases. You understand? So, that's what I'm saying, that the qadi, that according to Sharia, the qadi that is ruling is mulzim. You understand? You have to accept it. And if you challenge it, unless you have reasons to say otherwise, because people are people. People are people, and they always want things to go, even the court, to go in their favor. From both sides. Really, you find that a person wants, you understand, that just want justice to be served. So you find a person that if things doesn't go in his favor, they know that someone's going to be upset. Someone's going to be upset against you. You with me?
No.
So it occurs. But you have to have thick skin. Aywa. Wabillahi tawfiq. Hey. Hey, khalas. You can stop.
Say there's a contract being done between a Muslim and the right contract and
Hey,